Hi, I'm Alan Ross. I'm here at the IEEE PES T&D, that's a lot of acronyms, conference. This is the 2020 version that is actually being held in 2022. These interviews that we're conducting is with thought leaders on the future of the power industry. So enjoy. My guest for this segment of the interview is Gary Hoffman. Gary is the CEO of Advanced Power Technologies. I love the fact that I can get all these things right. Gary, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Nice to have me. Thank you.
So one of the first things we're asking is the future. I want you to put on your look at the crystal ball. A lot of change is taking place in a lot of areas,
Right.
But as it relates to the power industry,
Right.
What do you see as the major changes taking place?
Well, the significant area of actually improvement is the recognition of the importance of the grid itself and the reliability of the grid itself.
That's a great thought. That is a great thought. We recognize that when the power goes out, the lights go out, nothing works. Texas taught us that, didn't it?
Texas taught us that,
Yeah.
but on the other hand, it's spurring innovation because let's say everybody on a city block has an EV.
Right.
And Con Ed, I'm sorry Con Ed, thinking you, but you know, a major utility in the Northeast has an issue with power delivery, and all of a sudden these EVs can't be charged, these people cannot go to work. So there's a significant impact to the users, the user community, because they don't have electricity. So we're looking at the requirement, and what Advanced Power Technology is doing in that respect is improving the type of monitoring done on power transformers, which are a major asset within the grid.
Right.
And if a power transformer fails, you could lose thousands and possibly tens of thousands of customers because of transformer failure. So my business, Advanced Power Technologies, is mainly involved in asset management and the identification using expert system approach to be able to determine when that transformer is about to fail.
So you mentioned two things when you talk about that. I want you to go into a little bit more depth. Data, because you got to have that data. You got to, if you're monitoring, you've got to be able to send it somewhere. And interoperability, so that it's got to work together, and we're not in an interoperable state today.
Correct.
So
Correct.
Talk about that a little bit, about the massive amounts of data that are going to be created by all these sensors.
Well, the interesting thing in my approach in starting Advanced Power Technologies and running it is to take that burden away from the electric utility. You can have the data, you need the data, but you have to look at all the data. The idea is to develop an expert system that uses known information about how power transformers operate and their potential failure modes to be able to predict when a transformer is about to have an issue, where it needs maintenance as opposed to doing routine maintenance. You're doing condition-based maintenance.
Right.
So we're moving the industry to condition-based maintenance, even though they don't know it.
Okay, I am a reliability expert. I'm the president of the Electric Power Reliability Alliance, a CMRP, Certified Maintenance and Reliability Professional, Certified Reliability Leader, and I have been screaming that for the last 20 years, that what we've got to be able to get to is stop doing time-based maintenance, which tends to create more problems than it resolves, and do a lot more condition-based maintenance. Now, going with condition-based maintenance, you need condition-based monitoring.
Correct.
That's what you guys do,
And that's what we do.
Okay.
We specialize in that area, and we hold, I believe, 13 U.S. patents and foreign patents in the area of condition-based assessment.
How long have you been doing it, Advanced Power
For
Tech?
22 years.
Wow, okay.
22 years, and became an IEEE fellow in 2015 for transformer monitoring.
Okay. Member of the Transformer Committee for
Member
years
of the
and years.
Transformer Committee, and that's been the exciting part of being involved in IEEE, and what sucked me in was being involved in standards development. So it's so interesting, you meet so many really smart people, knowledgeable people, and you develop a friendship with these people that will last years.
Okay, we're going to get more into IEEE. You go right there because you love it, I can tell. But we're going to do more because I want to talk about some of this change. You've been doing this long enough to have a voice in it. Demand has been flat for 10 to 12 years, power demand. Power demand is expected to go, I've heard, from 30% higher to double because of electrification of transportation, because we're bringing a lot of data centers back onshore,
Correct.
because we're bit mining now here as opposed to the Chinese stopped doing it. There's just a lot of reasons that the North American demand is going up. What do you think that demand is going to do to what you do?
We're going to sell more product.
You're going to sell more product. Well, that's a great way to look at it. But specifically, in order to sell more product, what do you have to do, Gary?
Well, we have to make sure we can deliver product.
Okay.
And we all heard of the issues of the supply chain, and they're real.
Good.
Supply chain issues have created such problems in North America and throughout the world that electronics manufacturers, we actually manufacture our own products. We
Here
don't outsource
in the US.
it in the US. We don't outsource anything.
Okay.
So we manufacture even the temperature probes that go into the transformer. We manufacture those ourselves. The problem is the electronic components. The microcontrollers, the memory chips that are needed, they're in short supply. So what we've learned to do when we saw parts just disappear overnight was we cover the lead time. And now lead times are more than 1 year. So instead of just-in-time inventory, we've gone to strategic inventory.
Ooh, I love that.
Okay.
Talk about that.
Okay, so strategic inventory means you live to fight another day. Okay.
Right. You think about it before you just say, I'm out, right?
Right. So our director of operations, he does nothing but watches parts and make sure that the parts are becoming more scarcer and scarcer. Pull the trigger now, because if you don't pull the trigger now, we won't have parts to deliver our monitors a year from now.
Yeah.
So we're having to do that, and we're spending a lot of cash in order to do that, but it's important to the industry because in order to continue to provide the product when it's needed, you have to have the material. So it's very interesting.
For most CEOs, the two things that I bring up that immediately gets them sparked, one of them is supply chain management. The other one is labor shortages. What is that doing to your business?
Labor shortage is not a problem. We have our own people, they're local people that know how to build electronics, so that's fine. We have production assembly equipment in-house. They're robotic in nature, so it's less dependent on people. Even though people are really important to make sure the process runs right, we have automatic optical inspection equipment to inspect everything.
Okay.
So it's not like figuring out where's Waldo, where's the defect. It'll spot it right away because it's using an intelligent system to look at the circuit card as it's assembled to ensure that all the components are assembled correctly. So, we have in place all of the automation tools that we need. We have the people, skilled individuals. We just rock and roll with what we have to do, and it's just, knowing, I guess, I just know I've been fortunate to do a lot of stuff in my career, and one of those was as VP of operations at a major electronics company, so where I ran engineering and ran the factory too, and restructured the entire factory. So I had this experience, so when I started Advanced Power Technologies, it was really simple for me to be able to roll into doing this in a way that made a lot of sense.
That's a great background. That is a great background to have. Let's go to IEEE again. You obviously expressed a love for IEEE. You have been the past chairman of the Standards
Board. In IEEE, we have an organization. We call it an organization unit, OU, and it's called the Standards Association.
Right.
And the Standards Association is responsible for the entire standards development process used by many societies and councils. And it turns out PES is the biggest when it comes to IEEE standards. We have in PES more IEEE standards than any other society or council. Okay? And I was with Jessica Beyond today, who's IEEE president, and we were just talking about that today. And this isn't it great? We have the most standards.
I've got to look now to the audience, and I got to say, you heard it here. We, IEEE PES, have more standards. Okay,
than anybody else, even computer society.
Yeah, and that's surprising. And I know that you've been involved in many committees. You have people within the company involved in committees. What's the value of getting them, not just coming here, but getting them involved with IEEE on a kind of regular basis?
Well, it enriches them.
Right.
professionally. To me, I'm an engineer first and foremost. I run and own a business, but on the other hand, you know, there's an ethical part of what I do. Being an engineer, I believe the profession is of great value. It's almost at the same level as a doctor or a teacher. So it's really, to me, a treasured profession that I want to see honored, and I don't want to disrespect my employees by saying, you can't be involved in this.
Good.
You need to be involved.
Excellent.
You need to participate.
Yeah.
So it's really important to me that our people get involved. It helps them do their job better, but it also, they can contribute to standards in the way that they think best, not because of their affiliation.
Right, right.
This is very important.
Yeah. I was, you mentioned about the operating units. Smart Grid, I'm on the Smart Grid committee, and we have 14 different operating units that actually help promote the program when the program was developed. And we are now trying to re-engage many of those people, because many of them just kind of stopped working. Because once the standards were done, there was an idea that, oh, Smart Grid's finished, and it really isn't. I mean, we're starting to do things. There's a new, next year, April, in San Diego, IEEE PES will be doing the first Grid Edge conference, which will rival what we do here for T&D at the Grid Edge. And it's going to be unique because there's so much change at the Grid Edge taking place, but I'm sure you all will be there. Last question that I've got for you. From an IEEE perspective, a young person coming into it, why? Why become part of IEEE when your boss hasn't necessarily said join, or your company isn't sponsoring it? Why personally should you get involved in it?
They will meet people that help their career. That's really what it comes down to.
Career maker?
It's a career maker.
Yeah, that's good.
They will meet people that will help them. They will meet resources that they never knew existed. If they get into a problem in a design, they're working on something, hardware or software, or they're working in the field in the utility, they'll have some friends that they can call up and say, hey, I'm having this issue. Do you know anything about, oh yeah, we had this problem 5 years ago, and you know, and so it's enlightening. Just the camaraderie of being involved in the organization is just wonderful. So I would recommend to all young engineers that they should be involved in IEEE at an early age, but continue to be involved. There's so many student members of IEEE that just disappear.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, and it's, you know, we have to do more to encourage them to stay involved, and we need their affiliations to say, you need to be involved because it's important.
We need their bosses to understand this is not taking time away from the work. This is the work. But anyway, that's great. Gary Hoffman has been great. Thank you so much for being our guest.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.